Hey guys, today's video is going to be a little vlog style. I am 12 weeks pregnant with my second baby, and I am going in right now to meet my MFM/surgeon to get a consultation and talk about a cerclage placement and hopefully schedule all of that. This day I have waited for since the moment I found out I was pregnant, and I'm really excited for it. This is my first time seeing my MFM high-risk doctor/surgeon because this particular team of specialists is 4 hours away, and thankfully one of them happens to be in town today, and they scheduled me with him, and I don't have to travel for the consultation, but we'll see. Probably be traveling for the surgery procedure. I have been an emotional roller coaster today, and if you are watching this because you have been searching incompetent cervix or high-risk pregnancy, you can understand these nerves, and I feel so grateful to be this far along without complications, but I have a lot of fear for what lies ahead. I do have my incompetent cervix story with my first, so I'll link that down below if you haven't seen it yet. But with my son, I had an emergency cerclage placed at 21 weeks because I was dilating and bulging, so they had to stick a balloon in my cervix, push him back up in a way, place the emergency cerclage, and that was successful. I had the cerclage in until 35 weeks, and the reason why I got it out at 35 weeks is because he was literally putting so much pressure on the cerclage I couldn't take it anymore, and I had him at 37 weeks. So that's like the short version of it, and I did vlog throughout the pregnancy with my son, but this is a crazy story. After I had the cerclage placement with my son, I did not see that doctor again because I continued care with my OB here in Fargo, and she's great and she's awesome, and I trust her so much. She kept me positive through the whole pregnancy, and I never saw that surgeon again. And the MFM's high-risk specialists work as a team, so there's multiple of them, and somebody flies here once every 2 weeks, and I believe it's on a rotation, I'm guessing. But the same doctor that placed the cerclage and saved my son will be the doctor that we're seeing today. And I hope I don't get all emotional on him, but I feel really, really grateful to be able to look him in the eye and thank him and say, because of you and God and my OB, my son is here and he is healthy, and we made it to 37 weeks, and I feel like I need to give the world to him because he gave me my world, but all I can say is thank you. Just all the feels, guys. So I'm way too early to the appointment. I just was like, I'm going to go there way early. I don't want to miss it, and my husband's gonna be here and meet me, and then I will let you guys know how it goes after. Okay, so it may not seem like any time has passed, but I just left that appointment, and we did have a little ultrasound. They did check my cervix. I'm at a 3.3. Doctor came in, and it was great to see him. He definitely is very knowledgeable in what he does, and he gave me two options, and one is to just go ahead and place a emergency cerclage or a preventative cerclage around 14 weeks, which would be he's thinking either January 29th or February 1st. He's just got to get some scheduling stuff figured out. And the other option was cervical length monitoring, which basically to me meant coming in for a lot of visits, ultrasounds, and playing a waiting game, because I haven't had any losses, and because I went full term technically at 37 weeks with my son, they put me in the category of he preferred me do a cervical cervical monitoring because a cerclage might be unnecessary due to data and because I haven't had losses. But in my mind, I'm not going to play with fire. I'm not going to take the risk. I don't want to be in an emergency situation. I haven't had a loss, and I would like to keep it that way. So my husband asked really one of the main questions was, you know, isn't it the earlier you do your cervix, your cerclage, and you have more of a cervix to work with, isn't that better than waiting and having minimal cervix to work with? And he answered, yeah. And that's when my husband was like, I'm on board, let's do the cerclage. And in my head, like, that was gonna happen. Whether this MFM saw me as a candidate or not, we would have gotten a second opinion until somebody would have done a cerclage, which I know my doctor would have set me up with somebody local that has done it before but isn't necessarily as expert. It's not their expertise. And he did talk to me about how, like, if I were to go into spontaneous labor with a cerclage, and that could really damage my cervix. My heart says do the cerclage and do it preventative. So that's what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna wait to hear back for scheduling and wait about a week or so. I've never, and now I'm gonna kind of like go off on little tangents. I've never heard of anybody with incompetent cervix, short cervix / my condition not have it again. It's a reoccurring thing in pregnancy after you've had incompetent cervix, and we barely got to 21 weeks and got the emergency cerclage, and they won't do a cerclage past 23 weeks. So it's like, what if I get to 23 weeks and my cervix starts doing something and they won't do a cerclage? That makes like no sense to me. And you know, I know he's being hopeful and positive and is like, you know, which I'm not a candidate for progesterone, so it'll be just a cerclage, versus with my son, I was on progesterone. And I'm like, but if that worked for my son, why wouldn't we just take the same route? I don't get it. And they're like, well, you made it to full term. And I'm like, barely 37 weeks. Like, it's not like I went to 42. Like, it was kind of frustrating, but I do have to understand, like, they have to come from it at their medical standpoint and stuff. But he did say, like, it's your body, it's up to you. And I was like, I'm doing a cerclage, and I would prefer that you do it because you did a great job with my son. I trust that you would do this again. And he was like, okay, and we're gonna get it scheduled. So crossing my fingers for January. I know it's really only a few days difference, but praying for sooner rather than later. And then that was the other thing, when we were like, no, we're gonna get the cerclage, he was like, okay, well, I would rather do it sooner rather than later. And my husband's like, well, because it was his scheduling, that the MFMs, the surgeon's scheduling, where he's like, I don't know what day is gonna work out. And Sean's like, well, if we have to go into the next week, we can make anything work. Like, my husband was just trying to, like, communicate, like, we can make anything work. And the surgeon's like, well, if we're gonna do it, like, let's just do it. And I'm like, why would we play with fire and just do cervical monitoring? Like, I don't know. I feel confident in the decision of a preventative cerclage. If any of you have had success with cervical monitoring, knowing you have a short cervix, and it's gone incredibly well, let me know, because I have not heard one case of it going well without some sort of scare. Well, anyways, okay. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this update, and thank you for your prayers. Please continue them. For those of you watching because you have incompetent cervix, share your story below so I can add you to my prayer list. And thank you so much for the support.